Welcome to the Realizations Podcast. I'm Andrea Gordon, your host, and I'm excited to explore the world of real estate with you. In a world where perceptions often overshadow reality, Realizations seeks to redefine what it means to be a realtor. Join me as we peel back the layers of the industry, uncovering inspiring stories and celebrating the good in real estate. Whether you're a homeowner, a fellow realtor, or simply curious, this podcast is for you. Welcome to Realizations, where perceptions meet reality. Let's dive right in. Welcome, everybody. My name is Andrea Gordon. I'm your host on Realizations, the podcast where we talk about everything to do with real estate. Today, I'm really excited to have Jesse Trujillo as my guest. He is someone who is a redeveloper or flipper, as some people might call them, but he also has a capital company along with that as well, and we're going to talk about all of that. Well, welcome to the show, Jesse.
Oh, thank you, Andrea. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Excellent. Well, you have a really fascinating and amazing story. We're not going to start out with that right now, but we're going to start out a little bit with what exactly you do.
Okay.
So tell my audience what it is that you do.
Yeah. So two main companies. We own AJX Homes, which is a flipping company. We've been doing it for over 15, almost closer to 20 years now.
And in the Bay Area, they want to be called redevelopers, by the way.
Yeah. So redevelopers.
I love it that you're okay with being called.
No. I'm okay with either one. So that's fine with me. So we've been doing. I'm born here and raised here in San Diego, California. Started off here, little by little. Kept growing our company. Started building teams. We've now done 1,000 flips between all our markets. So we're in San Diego, San Antonio, and Tampa. Yeah, thank you. And then we were in Jacksonville. We've been in Nashville. We've been in Orlando. So we've tried out different markets, and we're really sticking to three main ones currently at the moment. Mm-hmm. And growing that, we've grown our single family residence, just rental portfolio. We have about 200 rentals in that side. And then now we also have about 900 apartment unit rentals in total, right? So
that's phenomenal. That is absolutely phenomenal, and it's meteoric too, because as you were talking to me before, you have created all of this and gotten to the point where you have a portfolio worth at least $15 million in the space of 5 years. Correct. So I'm sure my audience is going to be very, very interested in hearing how you were able to accomplish that specifically. But let's talk a little bit about your adversity. Tell me just briefly the story of how you got to where you are today.
Sure. So I mean, I share my story to really motivate people to understand that we all go through adversities, big and small in life, and it should never stop us, right? And so for me, being in real estate, you take risk and you trust people and things happen. So back in 2012, I got a knock on my door, and it was a sheriff asking me to come in with them and putting handcuffs on me and taking me downtown, not knowing for any reason. The only reason he gave me was that it's a sealed indictment. He couldn't tell me anything. Well, I come to find out that 4 years before, two properties that I had sold to a lender acquaintance that I knew that came to me, we had two properties that we were flipping. He said he had some clients, and he wanted to be their landlord for them, and really just be the property management, right? So he asked me, hey, Jesse, can you rent these out before we close so you can help us cash flow from day one? And I was like, of course, I'm a go-getter. Didn't see anything wrong with it, put everything in their name. Well, come to find out that he had bought those two properties with stolen identities, and he was doing a full operation in different counties in California. The reason I got involved in it was because when they were renting these, keeping the rents, letting them foreclose. Well, when they foreclose, the mortgage company had the DAs look into it, and they're knocking on these doors, and the tenants they're asking them, well, who rented these properties to you? And sure enough, they said my name, Jesse Trujillo, which was true. But no rents were coming to me, nothing in. So they figured I was part of the deal. So they include you in the case, right? And that just goes to show how careful you have to be, because people can include you in things that you just even never had any clue was going on. So, I got a friend of mine, someone I knew from grade school, an attorney, again, that was doing very well for himself here in San Diego. And I said, who else can I trust but him? And so sure enough, go in there, tell him my whole story. And he says, Jesse, you don't worry. I'm going to prove your innocence. He had no involvement. I'll take care of you. You just keep working. So that's what I did. A year later, comes to me and he's talking to me about, hey, there's some issues. They want to bring in your family. I had some cousins that were involved in those properties with me. That when we sold them, right, they were on title with me, and it's like, oh, I didn't have to go anything through what I was going to. Like, hey, don't worry, I'm going to prove your innocence. They'll stop it from there. You just have to sign here. Well, little did I know, I'm signing a document. That's pretty much a plea that I'm saying I am guilty, even though he was telling me that by me signing that, he would still prove my innocence and there'd be no problem. Well, a couple months down the line, we're there in the courtroom and thinking we're gonna put this behind us, me and my family and my family and friends that were there just is happy to know that it was behind. And the attorney looks at me and the judge looks at us and he just goes, well, you signed it, take him away for 5 years. And it was like shock in the courtroom. No one knew what really happened. Looked at my attorney. My attorney was in shock, crying, putting on a show. Little did I know what had happened. We found out months later. My attorney was actually on the news. He was actually money laundering for some very bad people, millions and millions of dollars, and he had gotten arrested by the federal government. He was supposed all the time he was working on my case, he was actually doing his own scams himself. So another person that I trusted, right? Because he was a professional and the person I gave my freedom to make a decision on, he made it for me. So trusting another wrong person, went to jail. Sadly, when I was in there, I lost my mother to Lou Gehrig's disease. She didn't even know I had gone to prison. She didn't even know I had been arrested. There was no reason to because I knew I was innocent. Sadly, I got to see her like 3 times while I was in prison, and she passed away. At that point, I just gotta put my mind straight. I had my wife send me all the documents on everything that just happened. I found a document in there from the mortgage company. I gave it to the DA that showed how much money they had lost, which was the reason why they made it a prison sentence. Well, what I found out when I was looking at, no one had ever shown it to me, was that it was a clerical error for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars that they did not lose. And I found it, but by then it was already so late that it was by the time I fought it, I was already going to be out and it was going to be an uphill battle. So I just kind of waited. Luckily, I came out after 2 years. I came out with literally no money to our name. I uh, I kissed my wife, hugged my kids, and I went straight to work. And I just went all in, and I didn't look back, and I didn't let everything. I was mad at the world, mad at everything. And there's a saying, Andrea, that I found literally when I came out, and it's from Frank Sinatra, and he says the quote is, "The greatest revenge is massive success." And
Yeah,
I thought, oh, I love it because I knew revenge isn't good for the heart or the soul. So I wanted to make sure that I followed something that I was mad. I was mad, right? I was angry. I
of
really,
course you were.
but putting my time and effort into them, the people that, you know, put me through everything I went through, it was not going to help anything. So I figured use it to make that massive success. So I worked, kind of let the dust settle. By the time I knew it in 2021, I looked back after 5 years and we had gone from zero to $15 million net worth from all my hard work. Some gray hairs, of course, but it was definitely worth it. I wanted to show my kids, they're now teenagers, and I wanted to show them that it doesn't matter what happens in life, it doesn't matter, the adversities that you have to go through, that you could push forward. It was 10 times harder for me to get where I'm at because of my history, because I went to jail, because there was a felony on the record, right? It was
Right.
it was something that I wasn't going to let it stop me. So I mean, I talk about determination, and I talk about determination doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't. I didn't ask for permission to push myself forward. I didn't ask for permission to get us back on top. I just did it, right?
Mhm.
So that's kind of where, in a nutshell, where we're at. 11 years later, here we are. I found that letter again. I said, I'm going to fight this one more time. And we went back to court and we won 2 years ago to prove that the number was actually wrong. The money, even the judge said shame on the DA, for letting that happen. We're still fighting for the last couple parts, but I can tell you it's a big win and for me, and it's not gonna, I'm not gonna stop. I don't quit in anything I do. And at the same time, just is showing that sometimes people, like, you have to remember that when you're doing things, you just have to keep going. You can't let one little thing stop you. You might not solve a problem tomorrow, but you can keep going until you exhaust all your options, right? And so I think that's so important for people to remember that. So that's
I
kind of
think
why
I
I'm
think
sharing
I
my
think
story.
I think that's a beautiful story. I think
Thank
it's
you.
incredible that you've come out the other side and that you are okay and that you have flourished despite all of that. I'm angry when I hear about the way the system works. And I'm also, it's like everybody thinks these horrible things about realtors, and you ran into a bunch of crooks basically because you were innocent and you had an open heart and you were caring about what you were doing. It didn't even occur to you that those people might have been awful. I mean, we've had these land scams going on around here. And audience, this is the sort of thing that we deal with. Like, I got a lead yesterday from realtor.com, and the lead sounded like a bot. The lead was speaking way too formally, and they were saying that they had a lot in the Montclair Hills to sell, and would I represent them? Well, first off, I don't know these people. I haven't talked to them. I have no idea who they are. I have no understanding about where they are in their business, what have you. It looked like it was coming from overseas. So I wrote back, and I'll never hear from this person, by the way, or this thing. I wrote back and I said, if you can send me a copy of your deed, and you can also send me a photo identification, I'd be happy to talk with you further about this. We've been having a lot of land scams in California, and it's a similar sort of thing where they get an innocent realtor to represent them, sell the property. They don't actually own it. By the time people figure it out, they are long gone with the cash and it's in the Cayman Islands or something. There are these scams that go on all the time. I had a client who was from Germany, and she had her money in Deutsche Bank.
Mm.
She was talking with Deutsche Bank on the phone, talking to them about the transfer should happen, what have you. She hangs up the phone. That's funny. The phone rings, and when the phone rings, it's somebody from Deutsche Bank saying that they had misread the number to her, and could she please take down this number and give them her information, etc. She hung up the phone, didn't agree to do anything, called me. I said, no, 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 no. Call the title company. That doesn't sound right. That tells me that where she had been talking to in Germany with Deutsche Bank, they had tapped their phone line and were going to try to scam her from sending the money she had to send, right? The money
Wow.
that was actually going to go into her account to
Yep.
their account.
Yep.
That's how
Yep.
there are so much of this going on out there.
Right.
Realtors, we're by nature, the vast majority of us are completely upstanding, lovely
Mhm.
citizens, try to do the right thing, ethical. We take ethics classes, what have you. And Jesse was a victim. We're a victim in the circumstance. Wow, what an amazing story that is. So Jesse, on a whole other subject, I'm sure everybody is reeling right now because of the 5,000 point drop in the stock market, and I know that you're working with money. Um,
Right.
how is that affecting you? What's going on?
You know, it actually helps us, in the business that I'm in. I mean, I believe in investing passively, right? I like active income with our flips, and I like passive income with our rentals. And for me, it's finding that balance between the two is what I've really enjoyed. But everyone has active income. That could be your regular job, that could be your W-2, and for me, it's with what's going on, it actually helps us because we're dealing with real estate, right? Someone and most of our flips and everything we're doing in rentals and apartments, they're places people need to move into. That people need to live somewhere, right? And so it's something that's never going to go away. It doesn't matter what the market's doing. So for me, investing in real estate instead of stocks makes so much more sense. It makes me sleep at night, not only for me, but for my investors' money, that we're investing in things that people are gonna like. I do a lot of entry level homes on our flips. I don't really do the big high end homes. And I do
Mhm.
that for a reason because a lot of entry levels, that could be people who just got married, just had a baby, now moving out of an apartment to their first home. They're moving into towns, right? I live in San Diego and Tampa and San Antonio where there's military towns, right? They're moving in and have so they need a place to live. Like so I deal with a lot of doesn't matter what the market's kind of doing situations. And
Right, those
for
are bread
me,
and butter
it, it,
sales.
it makes me feel so much stronger. So with things happening with stocks being volatile, it's actually I'm giving people the other option of knowing, oh shoot, instead of that, let me go in real estate and deal with something that is something that
Tangible.
someone always needs, you
Mhm,
know.
mhm.
And so for me, it's like I said, I'm not saying I'm happy about it. I'm just saying that I'm happy that I have an option for other people that when they don't feel comfortable, they can't sleep at night with their stocks, that I have an option for them to invest in real estate, that they could actually see the property they're investing in. They can go drive by it if they want to, right? I mean, it's really
Mhm,
up to them how involved they want to be.
mhm.
And that actually excites me to know that I'm giving those people those options because a lot of people don't even know their options, right? But people have their 401ks from past jobs sitting there, not making a dime for them, and they don't even know what they can do, right? We've been training and teaching people, a lot of people, to move their old 401ks to self-directed IRAs that they didn't even know they could do, and now they can invest with us, and now they're making double, triple money, that they were just making, just it sitting there, right, with us. So
That's
it's
fantastic.
investing in anything is a risk, right? Even in real estate, but it's about calculated risk, minimizing your risk, knowing who you're working with, what is our track history, right? What is like holding people accountable. And I always tell people, whether they invest with us, with AJX Capital, or they invest with anyone else, just do your due diligence. You have to. It's your own money, and it's kind of you have to make sure that you're doing the best for your family and your own wealth, of making sure where you're investing in that you've done as much due diligence as you could. Get, you know, if the person you want to lend the money to or invest in doesn't want to answer the questions, or is saying you're asking too many, then that's you shouldn't work
Walk
with
out the
them.
door. Walk out the door. So,
Exactly.
and
Run.
and you have learned so much of this from your own horrible
Correct.
experience,
Yes.
because you can't just gut trust somebody. You need to actually go. What is that expression? Trust but verify.
Yes.
Trust
So
but
I,
verify.
I actually I changed it up a little bit and I say trust and verify, right? It's just both. It's just that they go hand in hand. And
Right.
it's just you have to do it. It should become a normal thing with everyone, that we're trusting, but you're verifying no matter what. Like you just have to. And the person that doesn't appreciate you verifying them is not the right person for you. So
Very,
it's
very good.
yeah.
So investing in real estate is a much safer proposition when the stock market is as crazy volatile as it is right now.
I
Where can people find you if they need to find you?
Yeah. So I created a website, investwithjesse.com. Literally, you can go on there, meet with me, meet with my team. Any question about investing, they see the different options we have. We love talking about it and just letting people know what options do they have.
Very cool. Very cool. Jesse, you have been an amazing guest on this show, and your story is one of redemption. And I really appreciate how hard it is to make it in this world, just as anybody. But being in a situation where you were wrongfully accused and prosecuted, and spent 2 years in jail for something that you didn't even do
Mhm.
or inadvertently did because you were being duped, is a horrible, horrible thing. And the fact that you have come out the other side and flourished that's a beautiful, beautiful story. And I really want to thank you for telling me all about it today.
Oh no, thank you. And the last thing I just want to share, it's not only for ourselves to push yourselves, it's to show whether it's your family, your friends, whoever it is. Like for me, my kids have now kind of followed our path a little bit since then and gone into our business. They're 15 and 17 years old in high school, typical teenagers, but they just finished filming a show called Kids Who Flip, and it comes out this year, and it's going to be Warner Brothers picked it up, and so we don't know exactly what month it's coming out, but what I love about it is that it's showing them the power of real estate, the power of investing, the power of that being in the real estate world. How many there's so many options to do, right? But it's showing them not just traditional um, education, it's showing them how to run a business. And I think it's so important for people to understand that, including our kids, including our young adults, that what is running a business. There's a lot of pitfalls and you got to know them, and learning them now as a young age, I think it's so important. So I'm a
Love
proud
that.
dad. I'm a proud dad, and I'm just sharing because I think I love hearing that, and I love that my kids will help maybe other kids see that they can do it as well, and that they can grow and do real estate, and they don't have to wait till they're 30, 40, 50.
That is super cool. I
Yeah.
love that. And the other thing about being a realtor is that a lot of realtors get into the business without an understanding of money,
Right.
without an understanding of how to work with money, not understanding what it is to be an independent contractor and putting money away for the IRS, et cetera. And I think that teaching kids principles around money at a very early age is super, super important. So what a fun thing. I love that. Everybody be watching for it. What's the show called again?
It's called Kids Who Flip.
Very wonderful. You are a great guest. Thank you so much. You're welcome back anytime.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you, Jesse.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Realizations Podcast. I hope our conversation has shed light on the true essence of real estate and the people behind it. As we wrap up, I want to extend my gratitude to our listeners for their support and engagement. Your feedback drives the heart of this podcast, and I look forward to continuing this journey with you. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing to the Realizations Podcast and leaving a review. Your support helps us reach more listeners and spread our message of positivity in the real estate industry. Until next time, remember to keep an open mind, embrace empathy, and always seek the good in every situation. I'm Andrea Gordon, signing off from Realizations. See you next time.